Alright guys, well, about at the halfway point of my trip. And this trail I've been walking hugs the river here, like I've been talking about. But, excuse me. So you'll hear a lot of the boats in the background. And I just decided to take a break. I am a redhead. It's my first long day out in the sun. And I've been in and out in it for a few hours now. But taking a little break, refilling my my container that I carry on the outside of my pack. But and it is a hot, sunny day. It's clear. There's clouds in the sky, but they're small clouds. So you know, they don't. Us redheads like the big clouds. You know, ones that cover up the sun for like 20-30 minutes at least. You know, but no such luck today. But so I got my canteen topped off. Now I'll drink the rest of that one. Put that one back. And one thing I want to talk about today, one of the reasons I did get out here is because the weather's hitting us, is getting real warm real fast. And I haven't been out much. I've been out in the woods, you know, around my house, but as far as a workload, hiking and whatnot, I haven't really been out. And it's important that you climatize yourself. You know what climatization is your body's adaptability to the climate you're in, and its ability to sustain itself, keep its body temperature regulated, whether it's warm or cold. And climatization isn't just for hot weather. You do have to climatize for cold weather too. Your body has to get used to that. Your body has to program itself, you know. Everything follows seasons. You know, if you look at the animal kingdom, things like bees and animals that hibernate, all living organisms follow the seasons and follow the weather. We're the same way. Alright, your body's gradually warm into summer, gradually cool into winter. And one thing that can cause a big problem, especially in a survival situation, and not even in a survival situation, but just for general health, when it comes to hydration, avoiding overheating, avoiding heat stroke, heat cramps, and those things like that, is to get yourself climatized before you go into an environment. And what I mean by that is, like today, you know, I wasn't going to go out and do, you know, 25-mile walk or run a marathon or something like that because I haven't been out in this weather and it just started getting hot. I needed a little bit of a get out there and knock the cobwebs out of the gears or whatnot, you know, to get my body used to it, get out there and drink more water. And the things you got to consider with a survival situation is if you're not climatized, that could be detrimental to your survivability. Now, of course, you know, everybody's, you know the rules of three. You know, that your body can go 3 days without water. It's the general rule of three. And then on top of that, you know, you always have those guidelines that say the human body needs to have this much water. And you'll see it from region to region. If you're going to the desert, drink this much of water per day. A human body needs this much of water per day. You know, but there's too many variations in that. And what I mean by that is if you're not climatized, your body's already going to be stressed even more. Okay, you can go 3 days without water, but if you are plucked up from a cooler environment and thrown into the desert environment or a jungle environment and you're struggling to survive, your body, and you're not climatized, your body's catching up to the environment, you're going to be expending more water. You're going to be sweating more because your body's not accustomed. That's why you tend to sweat more in the beginning of the summer, or if you go on vacation, you sweat more at the beginning of the vacation. Then at the end of the vacation, you're kind of more relaxed and more accustomed to it. It's because your body wasn't climatized. You know, I've seen this a lot firsthand in the Army because I've been on a lot of cold weather duty stations, and for some reason the Army gets this idea of in January, February, when stationed at places like northern New York, to send us to places like Panama and the Middle East and whatnot. And even when we go to war, when we, you know, in most situations, when we're ramping up for a deployment like that, when we hit ground, we don't go straight into doing combat missions. You know, we have a time to climatize. You know, we had a time to get our bodies ready to work a heavy workload and a stressful workload in that environment. And you do that gradually. You know, we just didn't hit the ground running. We hit the ground and basically crawled, walk, ran, until we were ready, till our bodies were ready. And we have to do that in our own lives when we're, thinking of vacations or going hiking. If you and your friends are planning a trip, and it's winter time and you work. Let's just say this is the scenario: you work in an office, 8 to 10 hours a day, 7 days, 5 days a week. You've got air conditioning in the office, air conditioning in the home. It's just becoming summer, and you and your friends decide to go on a vacation to some hot tropical climate, and you want to go mountain climbing or hiking or whatnot. You hit the ground running, you're going to be hurting, and the likelihood that you're going to dehydrate or fall into some kind of a dehydration related medical problems is pretty high, unless you acclimatize yourself first. You have to be climatized, and you have to understand that your body's going to need more water consumption when you get into that environment. Like for instance, I haven't been drinking much water back home, just running around the house. But out here, I've been sucking water like crazy because I got to keep it in me, even if I'm not thirsty. I'm gonna drink some water to get myself hydrated, keep myself hydrated, and to keep myself climatized. Move on in, little buddy. Bug crawling on the camera. So there's some things that keep in mind, especially if you go into, if it is a survival or a life and death situation, because your body's already stressed out. It's a possibility you might be sick or injured, and you're going to be beating brush or walking to get out of where you got to go. And you got to consider that, like say, you're flying from a cool area and you get lost, or you get stuck in a hot area. You just don't want to pick up at noon and start walking your way out. You got to consider that your body's not climatized, and that workload is going to be a lot more strenuous on you. So that's just some things to think about, and a lot of people don't realize it. One of the first signs of dehydration is a headache. Keep that in the back of your mind. The next time that it's hot out, or you've been doing a lot of walking, doing a lot of working in the yard, or whatever, or just at work, and at the end of the day you start feeling a headache. Ask yourself, how much water did you drink that day? The last couple days prior, you might not have had that heavy of a workload. You might not have been out in the sun, but did you go out in the sun? Did you go outside? Did you work in the yard? Did you go on a hike and not drink a lot of water, and now all of a sudden you have a headache? It's the first sign of dehydration. And because what happens when you dehydrate, your blood thickens, because the amount of water in your system is deplenished. You dehydrate. Dehydrate means the water in your body is evaporating from your excuse me, from sweat and perspiration, and your blood thickens. When your blood thickens, it's harder for your heart to pump it through your brain. Literally. And when it's going through your brain, it's thicker, it's harder, and your body's feeling that and it's working harder. The brain is reacting to this thick, syrupy blood running through your veins. And one of the best ways to get rid of that, best way to get rid of a headache, drink a lot of water. 9 times out of 10, when we have headaches, and I'm not saying anybody is prone to chronic headaches or has a sickness or is sick. That's I'm not talking about that, but just generally, a lot of people will get a headache and they'll run to the medicine cabinet, pump some chemicals in their body, and put some medicines in their body. Medicines treat symptoms. They don't treat the causes. That's why I don't take medications a lot. I rarely take medications for things like headaches and colds and stuff like that. Antibiotics, that's a different story, because you're actually killing something. But as far as drugs that just treat a symptom, you're really not doing nothing. But if you got a headache, start drinking the water. And if you've been out working and you're hot and sweaty, you're a redhead, and you just spent your first day in straight sun all day long, then I'm feeling it. But go drink some water, because you need to keep hydrated. It means your body's telling you. You got a headache, your body's telling you. You're not climatized. You need to get some water in your system. So I'll stop rambling on about this. But anyway, We'll get back to the trail.